All of a sudden, just like that, quarterbacks want to be in Cleveland? I'm of course referring to Ty Simpson. Now, it seems like as the draft comes along, more and more quarterbacks are saying, "Yeah, I would go to Cleveland," which seems odd. I'm back, by the way. Hello. Make sure you hit that like button, hit subscribe, call us, leave us a voicemail, and we'll play it on the show 216-260-3433. No, we've talked about it a little bit and what we think of Ty Simpson, but now all of a sudden he's raising his hand and saying, "Yeah, draft me."
Yeah, and I touched on it last week while you were out as well because of our, longtime viewer Lawrence Charles giving us a call. He's been on that hype train for quite some time, but the same day that that video came out, which I think was a Thursday or a Friday, I can't remember off the top of my head, Ty Simpson goes on Up and Adams and has some interesting things to say. Let me play that clip.
I want to see you and Carnell together. I didn't know you guys were quite as, you guys, I know you're close, but like you keep bringing him up. So it's like,
because he follows me everywhere. Like if
yeah.
you
So
if
it's,
you even on
yeah.
the show, asking why he follows me everywhere. Everywhere I go, he goes.
Is there a world where y'all are on the Browns together? I feel like that's like could that happen? What would that be
And
like?
that's something that you got to ask Coach Monken and Mr. Barry. I think it'd be great. I mean, they got it going up there. Coach Monk's going to get it right. They got all the right pieces. If I'm able to throw the Carnell, it'd be great. It would be something that we'd always be on the same page, and hopefully would take the league by storm.
You like Mr. Monken?
Oh yeah, he's the
What
man.
do you like
Coach
about
Monk.
him?
Well, first off, right, he recruited me at Georgia, so
Hmm.
had a great relationship with him, and then him coaching at Southern Miss, him and my dad got to know each other pretty well. So I've known him for a long time, and then when I got to meet with them at the combine and got to meet with them on a 30 visit, it was just something. There's a personality about him that he kind of has that chip on his shoulder to where he wants to take the league by storm with his offense. And he's very genuine and cares about his players and cares about his coaches. And the proof is in the pudding when it comes to offense, right? Like you saw what he did with at Georgia, saw what he did with Lamar.
Hmm.
Like it just kind of, I think it's a quarterback friendly system and a guy who is willing to change and adapt.
A lot of praise from one Ty Simpson, the former Alabama quarterback. Eric, what do you think about that clip and what he had to say to 1K Adams?
Yeah, I have so many thoughts here. First and foremost, I'm starting to get on the hype train again with this Cleveland Browns team. We've filled in the pieces that we need to fill. People are seeing it. I'm there. Like, I think this could, I'm not going to say very easily because it's going to be a struggle, but I think this could potentially become a playoff team before we're done with our pieces. I know that sounds crazy, especially from where we were, but if you look at last year, winning 5 games, Shador not under center for most of it, and yet, we could have won a lot more games. There are several that spring to mind that were lost at the end, at the fourth quarter, etc. Kevin
Right.
Stefanski decisions as part of that. But when I hear players talk about Coach Monken, I can't help but feel like we did get that coaching hire right. I know we've debated it, but from what I'm hearing so far, like all signs point to this being a good thing. The one thing that I wanted to note here, Ty Simpson wise, is that he says, "Hey, yeah, when I'm throwing to X on the Browns," like he doesn't even factor in Shador as an obstacle in his path. I find that a little interesting because I think it would be a battle come camp, but I like what I'm hearing, I gotta say.
Well, how much of a battle would it even be? Say we take him in the first round, or say we take him towards the top of the second. Like that's significant capital that you would be putting into a guy to basically say and signal that we think he can be a franchise quarterback. So while there might be a competition in theory, like yes, Deshaun Watson, Shador, and Ty will all go out there and practice and try to be the first string quarterback if we draft him. Is that really going to be true, or is Ty Simpson going to see the field before long because you put that capital into him into it? You know what I mean?
No, I think it will be true. I think that what's going to happen this year in camp, I'm a firm believer, unless, ownership gets involved, that the best man, the best looking man for the job, is going to get it. And again, I've said it, like, I don't think he's gonna start from the rip, but I've said it before, I think Deshaun Watson will start football games. Obviously, that nexus could change based on drafting a guy, but my
Right.
point being, like, I think that this team is really open to anybody starting at quarterback. If they go get a guy through trade, check out our mock draft on that tomorrow because I go, into a trade detail in which we get a quarterback. But my point being is, I think that this team is really prepared to go with the guy that's going to at least look like he's going to get us the most wins. Whether that is a guy we draft, whether that's Shador, I think that camp and practice is going to be so crucial because I don't think that the mind is made up whatsoever or will be made up even after the draft on who's going to be starting for this football team.
That is always the scary situation, right? Like if you don't have a clear answer at quarterback, that probably means you don't have an answer at all at quarterback. So going into with a competition in theory sounds great because let the best man win, we'll get the best player on the field, but think about the teams that are good, right? Like there's no competition with Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen or hell even like a Justin Herbert.
Herbert.
I almost said Justin Gilbert for some reason. I got the Cavs on my mind. Let me ask you this though: do you think Ty Simpson, the connection to the Browns, the connection to us, maybe drafting him? Do you think that there's some credence there? Do you think we're just kind of doing our due diligence because we should? Where are you at with Ty Simpson to the Browns?
I think we have more pressing needs, which sounds silly because there's no more pressing need than quarterback, obviously. But I don't think that the Browns are enamored with Ty Simpson in that, like, he's our future cornerstone franchise guy because I just don't think the tape is there. Yes, he has looked very good through stretches, but he's also looked human and down to earth and bad through
Right.
stretches as well. We've talked about that and we've talked about the game tape there. So I don't think they're enamored with him like he's our guy kind of thing. But if it falls in the right spot, then I think they very well could draft him.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that too. I think it's interesting all the ties that are behind, obviously him and Todd Monken and his dad having a connection together. He's already been here on a top 30, top 40 visit, whatever. I forget what number it is, but he was on a top prospect visit for the Browns already. So that makes me scratch my head just a little bit. And I always think like the amount of times we sat down and did mock drafts and did draft content and not once did we ever talk about Jackson Dart, and he ends up being a pretty good quarterback. Looks like he has the potential to be the guy for the Giants moving forward. Could Ty Simpson be this year's Jackson Dart, where we're overlooking it because we don't think it makes sense, but really the connections are there. He's already been on a visit. He does have talent. There's a chance that he is a franchise guy. I don't think that's a hot take to say. I don't know if he'll actually pan out to be a franchise guy, whether it's the Cleveland Browns or some other organization that goes up and takes him. But I keep thinking about Jackson Dart, and it keeps making me think maybe we're overlooking this guy like we did Dart last year.
Yeah, I think the problem is that we typically look at the best quarterbacks on the best teams, and that's a fallacy. I think what you need to look at are physical tools because quarterback's a unique position. If we're going to draft our left tackle, for example, in this draft, he needs to be a guy that is ready and there and has the tools to line up every Sunday, right? Quarterback's a little different. I think what you're looking for are guys that have things like arm strength, things like we talk about the prototypical quarterback size,
Right.
6'4", 6'5", etc. Because if they have arm strength and they have the size, etc., and they have a general football intelligence about them, then the rest of that can be developed. You're gonna develop your progressions and your reads. Those come with time. We've seen even Shador. We saw that development from him throughout the season. So I think we tend to overlook guys like a Jackson Dart. Ty Simpson's a little higher profile, obviously, because he was with Alabama, but you get my point. I think we tend to overlook those guys because maybe they didn't have as impressive of a track record or even team in college, but I don't think that's what matters when you're trying to identify your next quarterback.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I just think that he is a name, and I don't know where I think he actually ends up. You could see him go top 10, because it's a quarterback and that's what happens with quarterback. You could see him go to the second round, maybe. Like that's very common when you do like a mock on PFF, for example. He's always there in the second round. So there's a lot of different ways he could land, and he feels like how Dart did last year. Like Dart was like, oh, he could be a day two guy. Maybe someone will reach for him at the back of the first round, and someone does, and he ends up having a pretty solid rookie season. Some hiccups, of course, but he's a rookie quarterback, so what do you expect? It's just, I wonder if that's what this is going to look like. Like a lot of people are thinking of it as a one quarterback class, like they did with Cam Ward last year. Are we thinking of it as a one quarterback class right now? And you're shit out of luck, for lack of a better term, if you don't have the pick to take Fernando Mendoza, when really Ty Simpson has a lot of qualities as well that could be interesting, intriguing to be a franchise guy in the NFL.
Yeah, I think that's the case. I don't think it's a one quarterback class. Here's the thing, I don't think we often talk enough about the situation that they're going into. If it's a quarterback that you can make it really easy for them because you have a strong ground game and you have a good O-line, etc., that's going to go a long way,
Yeah,
obviously,
yeah.
to easing that transition. Whereas if you just throw him, I mean, Shador was kind of just tossed to the wolves, so to speak,
Oh,
last year.
100%.
He
All
had
the
no
quarterbacks
O-line.
were. Yeah, yeah.
The run game was okay, but affected again by the O-line. He had nobody to throw to. So, the fact like we don't even know what we have in Shador, in my opinion, yet. So this year is going to be crucial. I think we have a decent O-line now, maybe missing one or two pieces. We're starting to look at outside pieces of that. Obviously, we already have a strong defense. That's why when I said from the rip, like I feel like this is a playoff team or about to be. I don't think that's too crazy, but yeah, it's really dependent on the situation that that quarterback's going to come into.
How do you feel about Ty Simpson? Do you want to see the Browns maybe take him if the pick is right? Are you just on the let's see what we have in Shador this year type of train? Like, where are you at with everything right now?
I'm conflicted because I want us to have a coherent plan.
Yeah,
If you think Shador's the guy, then let's put all of our resources into making sure that he's the guy. If you think that Ty Simpson will be the guy, same thing. It feels like right now we're still kind of throwing darts at the board a little bit
yeah,
instead of having a strategy at the quarterback position. I don't mind if we sign a rookie and the plan is to bring him in and adopt him as our franchise guy because we see that he can grow. He doesn't necessarily have it right now because he won't. He needs to grow into some of those things. That's fine with me, but I want to have a plan that we're sticking with. I think we probably had that at the last point with Baker Mayfield, but we didn't handle that development very well. And say what you will about Baker, I mean, he didn't help the situation, and
right,
OBJ and his dad didn't help the situation. Like there was a lot
right.
going on there, but that was the most talent that we've seen at the quarterback position for this team for a while, and we didn't handle it well. So whatever we do, I think we need to have a solid strategy to do it. That's the biggest concern for me. If that's Ty Simpson, that's great. Like I think he has physical tools. I think he can be developed. The question is, can we do that and can we stick with it? Will we stick with the coaching staff long enough to do it, et cetera, et cetera? There's so many questions there. The unfortunate reality is this team, like ownership, they want to win right now. We have a defense that's aging. We have a star player that's aging in one Miles Garrett, probably the best player in the league. And so when
Yeah.
you look at it from that standpoint, they're like, hey, we need to win right now. I get that. I see it. But if this offense isn't there yet, if there's not a quarterback there, then we still need to do our due diligence and our developmental side. And I have not seen that from this team so far.
Yeah, and that'll be a question that gets answered as we start to see what Todd Monken and his philosophy and how this coaching staff, because it is largely, I mean, on the offensive side, it's a whole new coaching staff, and how they really mold and go about shaping players and whatnot, depending on how long, of course, we keep Todd. That's the interesting question, though, is the development. Are they really making the nest, right? Like developing a strong run game, getting an offensive line. You're going to assume they're going to add some sort of wide receiver weapon on top of Jerry Judy eventually, whether it be in the trade, the draft, whatever. Um, Is it to try to see everything that you have in Shador, or is it because they want to go out and get a guy like Ty Simpson, or maybe trade for a guy like Anthony Richardson, which we've talked about on the show before? Or who are they doing it for? And of course, we don't know because we're not in the four walls of Berea, but that is the big question here. Is it for Shador? Is it for Ty Simpson? Is it for an unnamed third member? Is it for Deshaun Watson if you're a psycho like Erik is and thinks he's
No,
going
no,
to
no, no,
play
no.
this year?
Don't put that on me because I don't want to see him play. I just think we will.
That's why I said because you think he's going to play, and I still think that is a psychotic take, but we will see.
I'm not the only one with it. So if I am psychotic, there's a lot of Cleveland Browns beat reporters and national reporters that are psychotic along with me. But yeah, I think you summarized it well. Like, I just want to see a plan there and stick with somebody. Barring injury, I'd love to see us stick with Shador for the entire season. Let's see what we have because, like it or not, we're not winning a Super Bowl next year. I'm going to just. Sorry if it's bursting anyone's bubble out there, but we're not winning a Super Bowl. I think we could be a playoff team. If we trot out Shador, though, for 17 games and we have good O-line play and we added some pieces around Shador as well, and then we have this defense that, by the way, is very, very good if you can actually keep them off the field for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, you're cooking with gas at that point.
You are indeed, and that's what I think excites not only Browns fans, but like Andrew Berry, for example, and probably Todd Monken to a large extent as well. I want to know though, would you be surprised if they took him with like the first pick? So say pick 6, they don't trade back, they don't do anything. Pick 6, Ty Simpson off the
Ty
board, which is
Simpson?
that
Yeah, I'd
was
be
a
shocked.
yeah. Where do you think he falls in this draft then?
I think he falls early second round is where I'd put him. Somewhere in
That
there.
would that would be where I'd be comfortable with the Browns taking him because I like the idea of grabbing a tackle and a wide receiver. See more tomorrow in our mock draft video in round 1 because those are positions of need and hard positions to, go out and find aside from like the drafter overpaying mightily for a left tackle or a wide receiver. So that's where I hope he falls. I think he'll be like somewhere above 10, but below 32. Like I think he'll be later first round is what's going to end up happening to him. So like pick 11 to like 32, I could see him coming off the board.
Yeah, and if that's the case and we really want him, then we're going to have to trade up for him, especially if we're going to take a tackle and a wide receiver. So it'll be interesting. I think the need for especially left tackle and wide receiver is far greater unless they have other free agency plans that we're not aware of. But
Or
at the
trades, yeah.
moment, like I feel like you have to draft those two positions first.
I agree with you 100%. I think that's what they're going to do, unless, again, they make an acquisition of some sort of trade. The Marvin Harrison Jr. rumor's been out there. Chris Olave's been out there. Bryant down in Jacksonville before that GM shut it down was also a rumor for someone we would be interested in. So we could see someone get brought in here, and that's the route that they do end up going in terms of filling that. And then they can go even more so best player available. Think a guy like Caleb Downs, which we debated before on the show. Go check that video out if you haven't. So time will tell because we don't have the full picture yet, but we did get a lot of it last week with free agency, them bringing in, of course, basically a whole new offensive lineman or a whole offensive line unit, I should say. So it's only a matter of time now until we know what the plan is and we can actually see it and see what they're shaping and doing and what direction they're going to go because the draft is like a month away at this point, which is absolutely crazy to say. I feel like we
Yeah.
were just talking about Stefanski getting fired yesterday, and here we are. It's mid-March.
Yeah, it is fastly approaching. Speaking of Deshaun Watson, he was in the news again. You have a clip for us, I believe.
Yeah, from a former Browns, and I would call him a Browns legend at this point. We all love him as fans, so he can get the title. Jarvis Landry. Let's take a look.
We have a crazy ass story. Deshaun Watson. It is me, Mr. Jarvis Landry, and Deshaun Watson on the phone. Deshaun's like, I'm thinking about going to Atlanta. That's perfect. So I'm like, all right, well, listen, keep us in touch. Let us know what you're going to do. But my man left us high and dry.
Yeah.
I wanted to cry. That should be a rapper, huh?
I get a call one day from a random number. I didn't answer the phone. And then I get a text. And it's like, yo, it's D4. And I'm like, D4? So I call him back, and it's Deshaun. Obviously, at that time, he's hot in the media, being that, his case got dropped. And then his return to the league is like it's happening. We talked for like 15 minutes about Atlanta. Next thing you know, man, I'm like, yeah, bro, I'm with it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know somebody else that probably with it too. So he was like, well, let's start a group text. I'm on the phone at this point for the next like 3 or 4 days, every day with Arthur Smith. And he telling me how he gonna be using me and my agent in on it too. I'm about to get ready to book a flight. We even planned where we were gonna have dinner at. I wake up the next day, bags packed, driver coming through the gate. Breaking news, Deshaun Watson signed Cleveland Browns.
I called ASAP. I said, what the fuck? I said, hold up, wasn't he supposed to let us know? But he did text us and apologize. I appreciated that. You know what I'm saying? It meant a lot. But Atlanta Falcons, what if?
Interesting insight about what was going on with that situation. I always think there was a picture Deshaun posted when he signed to Cleveland of his 4 Browns jersey, and in the background you could see a bunch of Atlanta jerseys like in a pile. So it just adds to the fact that we were out, and then we guaranteed that money, in my opinion, and that's how we ended up landing what has been the biggest headache in Cleveland Browns history.
Yeah, and it's also a good reminder that there were quite a few teams in on the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. Like, we
Yes.
tend to put it in this box that we made a terrible mistake. We did. Let's not like mince words there. We absolutely did. It's probably the worst trade in NFL history, perhaps. But we weren't the only ones trying to make that happen. That just, I guess that's solace for me, because I'm just still so upset about it. But interesting. How do you think that would have gone down in Atlanta?
The same. I think Deshaun Watson has been cooked, and he's physically cooked now, but mentally at the same time he was, with all of the controversy around his name. He was never going to be Deshaun Watson again. It didn't matter if we traded for him, if the Steelers traded for him, Miami was a team, the Panthers were a team, obviously Atlanta. No matter where he ended up, someone was going to look like a dumbass and have to bite that bullet, right? Like that was going to happen. Every team was offering 3 first-round picks for him. So
I,
to
you
me, I
know,
don't think he would have ever panned out.
What I saw from Deshaun Watson was a guy that was still athletically able. He threw a great ball. He could escape the pocket still, but he heard footsteps and mentally he just couldn't cut it anymore.
Yeah.
That's what I saw in his return. So I don't know if he had a better O line. Does that change? I don't know. The Browns O line wasn't terrible back then, but
Right.
um, I don't know. I think you're right. I tend to agree with you, but see, it's so hard still to go from like seeing him in practice and like still throw a beautiful ball and still show athletic flashes and even flashes in games like that Ravens game, and
Yeah.
then just not be able to string it together enough. I don't know. It's a shame.
We paid $230 million to have that one Ravens game moment for Deshaun Watson, and then he broke a bone in his throwing shoulder, and it's just been even worse since then.
$250 million later. On that note, the debate never ends, but the show does for now. We'll see you next time.